Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a world where the word fresh meant your apron still had this morning's bacon grease on it. The suburbia of the 1950s. Welcome to the golden age of advertising, when every household had one car, 2 kids, 3 channels, and exactly 47 jars of mayonnaise hiding in the fridge. You're about to experience life as a 1950s housewife, and trust me, it's wilder than anything you'll see on Mad Men or late-night reruns. But before you put your feet up on the plastic-covered sofa, do me a favour, like the video and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy what I do here. Leave a comment telling me if you've ever bought something because an ad promised to make your life easier, or if you're listening at 2 a.m, let me know which outdated kitchen appliance is staring at you in the dark right now. Now, dim the lights, turn on a fan for that vintage white noise, and get comfortable. Maybe grab a snack, a gelatin salad perhaps? Tonight you'll find yourself surrounded by linoleum floors, atomic-age clocks, and the sweet sound of a Hoover vacuum roaring like a jet engine. But let's ask the real questions. What did it feel like to be serenaded by a commercial jingle before breakfast? Did housewives really believe that one squirt of lemon-scented cleanser could fix their marriage? How many casseroles must a woman bake before her children finally acknowledge her with something besides a sticky hug and a juice box to the shin? Could you survive a day being chased by relentless mail-order catalogues, doorstep salesmen, and the existential threat of running out of saran wrap? Would you last through a PTA meeting fueled by instant coffee and mild existential dread? And most importantly, how did a generation end up convinced that their value as a person was directly related to the whiteness of their laundry? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 1956. The sun is shining, your dress is ironed, your smile is sponsored. Good luck. It's 6:03 a.m. You're jolted awake by a cheery ticking alarm that looks like it was designed by someone who feared both nuclear war and sleeping in. The house smells faintly of coffee, floor wax, and whatever optimism is left over from last night's miracle wrinkle cream. For a split second, you're not sure if it's morning, or if you've been drafted into a covert government experiment involving sleep deprivation and highly flammable bedding. But then the peppy chime of your atomic alarm clock drills into your consciousness, a sound so relentlessly bright that it could easily be repurposed as psychological warfare. It's not just an alarm, it's an announcement. You're alive, you're upright, and you're now contractually obligated to start your day with a smile, or at least something that won't frighten the neighbours. Blinking, you take in your surroundings. Sunlight, filtered through dainty flowered curtains, spills across the room. Every object is perfectly placed, as if the Better Homes and Gardens editorial team stopped by last night just to judge you. The bedspread, tucked so tightly it could repel small children and possibly low-flying birds, is patterned with pastel blossoms. Somewhere in the distance, a perky radio announcer reminds you it's another day in the land of prosperity and progress, where everything is new, improved, and conveniently for sale. You sit up, feeling the crinkle of your hairnet because even sleep must be wrinkle-free in this brave new world. The air is brisk, and the scent of floor wax battles valiantly with a trace of cigarette smoke left over from your husband's last one before bed. The mirror on your vanity promises 10 years younger if you squint just right and ignore the evidence. On the nightstand, an advertisement-perfect glass of water waits patiently, covered by a floral coaster that matches exactly nothing else in the house. You take a sip, channeling the women from every commercial you've ever seen, serene, graceful, and somehow able to look refreshed after 4 hours of sleep and 3 hours of worry about the price of eggs. As you stand, your slippers find their place on a pristine, pale carpet. The cold linoleum of the hallway lurks just beyond the bedroom, waiting to shock your ankles with the thrill of post-war innovation. You catch a glimpse of yourself in the hallway mirror and practice your smile, modest, bright, unthreatening. This is important. A good 1950s housewife doesn't just make breakfast. She sets the tone for the entire block, radiating composure like it's her patriotic duty. Downstairs, the kitchen is already awake. The coffee pot hums, percolating gently, as advertised, filling the house with that aroma of hope and caffeine that makes survival possible. There's a bowl of oranges on the table, though most of them are for display and possibly shellacked. The radio, perched beside a stack of mail-order catalogues, launches into a jingle about a detergent promising miracle whiteness in every wash. You try not to take it personally. Your children are still asleep, tangled in sheets with cartoon characters smiling obliviously up at the ceiling. Your husband's tie is already draped over the back of his chair. He likes to be reminded of the workplace, even when he's home, Somewhere outside, the faint rumble of a milk truck signals the world's slowest, least explosive morning delivery. And yet, there's a strange comfort to all of it. The ritual, the repetition, the relentless optimism of a world built on the idea that things can always be shinier, cleaner, newer. You glance at your list for the day, laundry, shopping, polishing, listening patiently to salesmen and children alike, and wonder if this is progress or simply a new flavour of chaos. Still, you wouldn't dare hit snooze. The clock won't allow it, and neither will the ghosts of advertisers past. So you smooth your dress, square your shoulders, and step bravely into another day of perfectly packaged possibility, where even your alarm clock expects a performance. Welcome to morning in 1956. The sun is out, the coffee is hot, and the future is allegedly yours. You shuffle to the kitchen in pastel slippers, greeted by a radio jingle so catchy it'll haunt you until 1993. Your cereal is fortified with promises, your milk is ultra-pasteurized, and your husband is reading the paper as if the comics are a classified government secret. The kitchen, bathed in lemon-yellow sunlight and the faint chemical scent of last night's floor cleaner, is a monument to modernity, or so the commercials say. Everything is colour-coordinated, down to the cheery gingham curtains that, you suspect, are the only thing standing between you and a full psychological breakdown before noon. The breakfast table is set with the precision of a NASA launch. Spoons aligned, napkins folded into triangles, and a glass pitcher of orange juice sweating just enough to look refreshingly natural, even though the label quietly admits it contains 5% actual fruit. You pour yourself a bowl of cereal from a box plastered with more health claims than a medieval apothecary. It's vitamin-packed, energy-boosting, kid-approved, though, by the taste. You'd swear it was manufactured in the same factory as the cardboard box. Still, the smiling cartoon mascot on the front promises adventure, strong bones, and the kind of joy that can only be bought, never earned. You eat it dutifully, hoping at least one of the vitamins survives the journey from the box to your bloodstream. Your husband, hiding behind his newspaper, flips past global catastrophes and political drama in search of the day's weather report. Occasionally he'll snort at a headline, but he never shares the joke. He is lost in a world of inky newsprint, leaving you to make peace with the local bakery ads and a crossword puzzle you'll never finish, because the children will soon descend, hungry and sticky, and already locked in some new battle over who got the good bowl. On the radio, the cheery host transitions from crooning a love song to reading an advertisement for toothpaste that guarantees confidence and marriage bliss in every tube. A moment later, a new ad for a brand of sliced bread blares, insisting that no household is complete without softness that never ends. You wonder if bread can truly change your life, and then remember that the bread in question is currently so soft it's almost a liquid. Nothing says modern luxury like sandwich loaves that dissolve under the weight of a tomato. Your children make their entrance, one dragging a doll, the other a stuffed animal that may or may not have been washed this year. Both are already primed by last night's commercials, begging for sugar-laced cereals and the kind of marshmallow-studded breakfast that would make a dentist weep. You stand your ground, offering fortified flakes and a speech about strong bones, knowing full well that the battle is lost before it even begins. You resolve to make up for it at lunch with a carrot stick and a stern glance. Meanwhile, brand loyalty is alive and well. You buy the coffee with the smiling housewife on the can, the eggs stamped with the seal of a chicken you'll never meet, and the milk whose ultra-pasteurization process sounds only slightly less dangerous than nuclear fallout. Each product is a tiny pledge of allegiance to the gods of American commerce. You're not just feeding a family, you're casting a vote for which jingle will rule your subconscious for the next decade. And then comes the parade of packaging. Every box, bottle and jar is festooned with promises. Whiter teeth, more energy. Kids will love it. Husbands will too. The more you look around, the more you realize breakfast is less about nutrition and more about performance. If the neighbors were watching, you'd win at least a silver medal for best display of toast. But there's comfort in the ritual. The gentle chaos, the gentle pressure, the slow drip of coffee into mugs as the world outside begins to wake. You smooth your dress, refill the cereal bowls, and just for a moment, let yourself believe the ad men. After all, who wouldn't want to start the day feeling like the world is fresh, full of promise, and just one branded product away from happiness? Breakfast in the 1950s, the most important meal of the day, and possibly the most exhaustingly advertised. Coffee time is sacred. The beans come in a tin, the percolator burbles, and the ad on the box assures you it will bring your family together, or at least prevent homicide before 8 a.m. You open the tin, greeted by a wall of aroma so potent it could probably resuscitate a fainting goat. Each scoop of ground coffee is measured with the kind of care typically reserved for nuclear launch codes. The ad men promised this blend would deliver warmth, energy, and the delightful illusion that your spouse will compliment your hair before sunrise. You've never seen it happen, but you remain hopeful, mostly because the coffee is non-refundable. The percolator on the stovetop is your own little engine of hope. You watch the water bubble up, hear the soft, rhythmic bloop-bloop as it cycles through the grounds. If you listen closely, it almost sounds like applause, gentle encouragement from a kitchen appliance that wants you to succeed. You stand guard, spoon in hand, because everyone knows 1 second too long and your perfect brew will transmogrify into something resembling motor oil. In this house, that's considered a war crime. While you wait, you catch a glimpse of the brand's mascot on the side of the tin, a cheerful woman with freshly set hair, pouring steaming mugs for an adoring family. She has never been late for anything. Her children are smiling, her husband's tie is perfectly knotted, and her coffee, you're led to believe, contains enough caffeine to solve marital discord and possibly global warming. You suspect she's hiding something, possibly another family in the basement, sustained entirely on rich aromatic flavour. Your husband appears in the doorway, drawn by the scent. He's not a man of many words in the morning. His communication is limited to grunts and the universal language of mug placement. Left side means milk, right side means I'm not talking yet. You oblige, pouring his coffee with the gravitas of a medieval priest distributing communion, careful not to spill a drop on the Formica counter. The percolator burbles in approval. The first sip is a litmus test for the entire day. If it's hot, strong, and just bitter enough to confirm you're still alive, then hope survives. If not, there's always instant coffee, a threat you dangle over everyone's heads like the sword of Damocles. Be grateful, you say silently, because it could be worse. It could be powdered. Of course, the children want nothing to do with coffee. They wrinkle their noses and request cocoa, sugar, or, on especially optimistic mornings, a soda pop. You stand firm. Coffee is for adults, the people who have seen things, like the grocery bill or the state of the laundry hamper. Still, your youngest likes to pretend. She'll take a mug of milk with a single forbidden drop of coffee, swirling it dramatically while repeating lines she's learned from TV. Ah, now I'm ready to take on the world, if only it were that easy. As the morning progresses, coffee becomes a silent truce. It signals the end of sleep, the beginning of negotiation. Over steaming mugs, the family makes peace with the day ahead. Your husband grunts in gratitude. Your eldest tries to sneak a taste. The ad man's promises echo quietly. Coffee, the beverage that makes mornings possible and afternoons survivable. The last cup is always yours. You savour it alone for just a minute, pretending you're in one of those black and white commercials where the kitchen sparkles, the children's voices are faint, and every problem can be solved with one more scoop. The mug warms your hands, and you breathe in, just for a moment, like the world is gentle and the day might turn out okay. By the time you rinse the percolator and set the tin back on the shelf, you realise coffee hasn't fixed everything, but it's made it bearable. And in a house ruled by routines, commercials, and the tyranny of perfection, that's nothing short of miraculous. Your children are locked in mortal combat with their sugar-coated cereal, and your spouse is staring longingly at a photo of bacon. On the wall, a cheery ad poster for orange juice that contains exactly 1% actual orange. The breakfast table is less a place for family bonding and more a competitive arena, with rules dictated by commercial jingles and cartoon mascots. Each child is armed with a spoon and a strategic mound of frosted flakes, the box promising rocket fuel energy for young astronauts. Your youngest treats his cereal like a demolition site, crushing the crispy bits to dust before finally eating the prize, a small plastic ring that will inevitably clog the vacuum by noon. Meanwhile, your eldest has entered a philosophical standoff with her bowl, negotiating the exact amount of milk required for peak sogginess. The answer, as always, is classified. Across the table, your spouse performs a silent protest. He pokes his eggs with the resignation of a man whose dreams have been systematically replaced by cholesterol warnings. The magazine propped against his juice glass features a glossy photo of bacon, thick and glistening, accompanied by an article about balanced living. It's a cruel taunt. He glances at his grapefruit half, sprinkled with a hopeful amount of sugar, and sighs. You sense he's weighing the odds of survival should he ever ask for real sausage again. Hovering in the background, the orange juicer beams down like an omniscient deity. A mother pours juice into a smiling child's glass, her face radiating the sort of joy only found in advertising or heavy medication. You know, and she probably knows, that the orange juice in your fridge is a tangy blend of corn syrup, artificial colour, and citrus-scented ambition. But the ad assures you it's fresh from the grove. You silently salute the ad men who made a tablespoon of orange juice concentrate feel like a sunrise. There is a hierarchy at the table, maintained by a strict code. First dibs on the cereal with the most marshmallows goes to the sibling with the fastest reflexes. You monitor the proceedings like a referee, armed with a spatula, and the authority of a woman who once disarmed a fight over the last pancake. Every so often you interject with a neutral, "use your napkin," or "that's not what spoons are for," classic lines inherited from your mother, who once mediated a 3-day Cold War over who got the blue cup. Meanwhile, the soundtrack of the morning is a chorus of snap, crackle, pop, and half-formed complaints. One child refuses to drink the milk because it's too white, and another won't touch the toast because the crust looks suspicious. Your spouse, quietly supportive, pretends not to hear any of it, burrowing deeper into the classified world of comic strips. On special occasions like Sundays, holidays, or when someone has a coupon, you attempt a real breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, maybe even eggs that aren't from a carton. But even then, your efforts are overshadowed by the ever-present spectre of the cereal box, its garish mascot grinning in silent triumph. You suspect that, in the end, the children will remember their youth as a parade of cartoon breakfasts and mysterious marshmallow shapes, rather than the elaborate brunches you stage to impress imaginary guests. When the meal is finally over, you survey the battlefield. Spilled milk pooling under the table, a casualty list of abandoned toast crusts, and one jelly-smeared napkin hanging off the dog's collar. You gather plates and sigh, knowing tomorrow's skirmish will be exactly the same, complete with high-fructose diplomacy and a renewed struggle over the last good spoon. And yet, there is a strange satisfaction in the routine. The chaos, the mess, the endless negotiations over who gets the bigger cinnamon roll, all part of the rich tapestry of breakfast in 1956. The ad men promised unity and joy. What they delivered was organised anarchy with a side of vitamins, but you wouldn't trade it for anything, not even for bacon. Time to tackle the kitchen floor, a slick expanse of chemical-scented linoleum that was sold to you by a smiling man on TV promising effortless shine. The only thing effortless here is the way your socks slide when you're not looking. The kitchen floor is a marvel of post-war engineering, shimmering, pastel-coloured, and practically radioactive under the morning sun. This is not just flooring, it's a statement. Easy to clean, the ad insisted, as if a miracle would descend every time you wielded a mop. The reality is less miraculous and more slapstick. You, shuffling warily, armed with a bucket of suds and the wary optimism of someone who's lost a shoe to a surprise puddle more than once this week. You remember the salesman's pitch. His hair perfectly parted, his suit almost as shiny as the sample square he waved around. "This floor will transform your life," he declared. "Effortless. Gleaming. So easy. You'll have time left over for yourself." At the time, you imagined sipping tea in a spotless kitchen, radiant in both spirit and surface. Instead, your reality is a never-ending war against the forces of stickiness, crumbs, and whatever mysterious goo emerges from beneath the fridge every Thursday. Your weapons. A mop with suspiciously sharp bristles, a bottle of super sheen floor cleaner with a label that could blind a moth, and a pair of house slippers with exactly zero grip. As you get started, you're serenaded by the gentle squeak of rubber soles and the menacing hiss of sudsy water. Somewhere between the stove and the kitchen table, you experience that unique blend of terror and excitement that comes with stepping on a freshly waxed patch. Will you glide to victory, or meet your end in a graceless heap? The linoleum, for all its technological promise, is a magnet for the worst society has to offer. Every sticky handprint, every cereal spill, every muddy paw print from a dog with poor timing finds its way here. You swear the floor multiplies its square footage at night just to spite you. The children treat it like a racetrack. The dog sees it as a wrestling mat, and your spouse, well, he mostly just avoids it, tiptoeing around like a burglar with a guilty conscience. You scrub and mop and buff, eyes narrowing at the patches that refuse to shine. The scent of lemon, sharp and vaguely chemical, wafts through the house, intermingling with the aroma of burnt toast in this morning's coffee. The ads promise a gleam you can see your reflection in, but all you spot is the faint outline of last week's spaghetti disaster and the ghost of a footprint shaped like Nebraska. As you work, you ponder the absurdity of your situation. You're fighting a flaw. Not just any flaw, but a synthetic petroleum-based innovation designed to outlast the nuclear family itself. It's supposed to be progress, shiny, sanitary, modern. Yet here you are, sweating over a stain shaped like Elvis's pompadour, wondering if progress is just a new kind of exhaustion in a brighter package. And yet, there's a rhythm to it. The mop glides, the bucket sloshes, the linoleum squeals beneath your feet. For a few minutes, the chaos recedes, the kitchen sparkles. You can almost hear the approving nod of every housewife in the TV commercials, nodding along as if you too have unlocked the secret of effortless living. Of course, the illusion won't last. A child will arrive, trailing jelly and mischief. The dog will dash through with paws inexplicably damp. The world will conspire to undo your hard-won shine. But for a brief shining moment you have tamed the linoleum jungle. You stand tall, maybe a little wobbly, but victorious. Until tomorrow at least the floor is yours. You hear the mailbox clatter, catalogues, coupons and envelopes full of smiling families you'll never meet, all inviting you to buy soap, insurance, and a better version of yourself. The mailman is more than a harbinger of news. He's the town's most reliable delivery system for hope, disappointment, and unbridled consumer temptation. You know his steps by heart, the way he whistles past the rosebush, the careful thunk as he shuts the box. There's a brief moment of anticipation, as if maybe this time it'll be a letter from a long-lost friend or a mysterious inheritance. But no, instead, you retrieve a small mountain of paper, catalogues as thick as phone books, coupon booklets boasting limited time deals, and envelopes bursting with cheery exclamation points and bold promises of happiness. You fan out your bounty across the kitchen table, where the morning sun glints off glossy covers. A family in matching sweaters beams at a washing machine so large it could double as a fallout shelter. On another, a smiling mother stares lovingly at a bottle of hand soap as if it just recited poetry. You're invited to experience the miracle of clean, invest in your family's future, and say yes to flavour that lasts all summer. In the 1950s, no moment is immune from salesmanship, not even the sacred mid-morning quiet. The ads are relentless. Each envelope that isn't a bill is a miniature Trojan horse, smuggling in insecurities you didn't even know you had. You flip through the catalogues, clothing, appliances, food, even vacation packages that promise luxury within reach if you just collect enough box tops. Every page radiates the careful optimism of a world convinced that the right purchase can buy you status, comfort, and, if the copywriter is especially ambitious, love. The women in these pages are impossibly put together. Hair perfectly set, lipstick undisturbed, children blissful and never sticky. Their homes are laboratories of innovation. No stain survives, no child misbehaves, and every husband appears just seconds away from offering to help with the dishes. It's a beautiful fiction, one that smells faintly of printer ink and unattainable standards. Then come the coupons. You clip each one with the precision of a surgeon, and the secret hope that someday, somehow, they will add up to something more than 20 cents off floor wax. There's a contest on the back of the margarine leaflet. Describe in 25 words or less what makes your family special, and win a year's supply of sandwich bread. You wonder what the judges are looking for. Selfless mothers, clean children, a heartwarming struggle against adversity, ideally solved by a new brand of cheese spread. You tuck the contest slip into the junk drawer, telling yourself you'll enter later. You never do. Among the day's haul, there are also offers for life insurance, for peace of mind at just pennies a day. A commemorative plate series, only 4 easy payments, and a mysterious flyer for a lady's business opportunity that smells of desperation and talcum powder. Some days it's hard not to feel that your entire existence has been turned into a sales pitch. Yet, despite the avalanche of advertising, there is a certain ritualistic comfort in the sorting and stacking, clipping and tossing. You build little towers of possibility on the table, things to buy, things to dream about, things to maybe, possibly, someday aspire to. It's a performance, a daily nod to the idea that the next catalogue, the next deal might actually change something. After all, the ads are convincing. They always seem to know exactly what you're missing. As you sweep the junk mail into the recycling, a single coupon flutters to the floor, promising a brighter, cleaner tomorrow. You sigh, tucking it into the growing stack on the counter, and smile. Because in this world, hope is always half off with purchase, and tomorrow's mail might just deliver the life you've been promised, plus a bonus dish towel, free with proof of purchase. Armed with scissors, a housecoat, and vague hope, you start clipping coupons for products you can't pronounce and will never use, just in case there's a prize at the end, like a toaster or the faint illusion of control. You settle in at the kitchen table, an island of relative calm in the morning storm, with a stack of catalogues and the ever-present Sunday paper spread before you. The scissors feel weighty in your hand, more a symbol of suburban determination than an actual tool. Today, you're not just a housewife. You're a treasure hunter. The ads are your map, the coupons your reward, and every dotted line is another step closer to the mythical land of savings. Each coupon is a miniature work of art, festooned with cartoon mascots and bold proclamations. 15 cents off miracle spread. Try the new and improved Wonder Cleaner. Buy one, get one loaf-shaped product absolutely free. You clip diligently, stacking little rectangles of hope in tidy piles. Some are for things you use every day, coffee, bread, detergent. Others are for more mysterious items, hydrated vegetable protein cubes, pineapple-flavoured snack cakes, and medicated powder for pets and people. You're not sure if you or your family need any of these, but the savings are simply too good to ignore. You tell yourself you're being practical, thrifty, and wise. In reality, couponing in 1956 is only partly about money. It's mostly about feeling resourceful in a world that measures your worth in bargains snagged and deals made. You imagine your name read aloud at a neighbourhood meeting, and for her exceptional dedication to household economy, the Golden Scissors Award goes to, but mostly, you just want to know you made the right choice, even if it's for a 10-cent discount on canned ham. Some coupons come with contests, mail in 6 proofs of purchase, and 25 words on why you love butteries for a chance to win a chrome blender. You contemplate your entry, trying to spin a tale of heartfelt devotion to a margarine you're pretty sure tastes like hope and disappointment blended together. The fine print, always in the smallest, most suspicious font, tells you you'll need to wait 6 to 8 weeks for your prize, if you win at all. But you clip anyway, dreaming of that glittering new appliance gracing your countertop, even though you know it'll just join the others in your appliance graveyard. The ritual is soothing. Snip, stack, sigh, repeat. The world narrows to the sound of scissors slicing through paper and the low hum of the fridge. Outside, the world may be spinning toward progress, but here you're in control, at least for a moment. Each coupon feels like a tiny victory over the tyranny of household budgets and the creeping suspicion that everything costs more than it should. Even the act of organising by expiration date, by aisle, by colour, if you're feeling wild, brings its own satisfaction. Your children wander by, casting suspicious glances at the pile of clippings. Are we having pineapple snack cakes for dinner? They ask, wary of last month's coupon-inspired culinary experiment. You assure them, and yourself, that tonight at least, dinner will be normal. Probably. You tuck the best coupons into your purse, stashing the rest in a dedicated drawer, a monument to optimism and maybe, someday, an emergency requiring 12 jars of mustard. Sometimes, when the day is long and your patience short, you take them out just to admire your handiwork, proof that you are a savvy shopper in a world built for spenders. When you finally rise from the table, there's a fine confetti of paper on the floor and a satisfying sense of order in your soul. No matter what the advertisers throw at you, no matter how wild the claims or how mysterious the products, you are ready, with scissors, hope, and a stack of coupons that promise a brighter, slightly cheaper tomorrow. As you fold laundry, the television hums in the background, parading an endless parade of toothy salesmen and perfect housewives. You're not just being sold soap, you're being sold happiness, one jingle at a time. The afternoon sunlight slants through the kitchen window, catching on motes of dust that dance above the ironing board. The TV, perched with a precarious confidence atop its 4 splayed wooden legs, is the centerpiece of the room, not because of its size or clarity, but because of what it promises: company. Daytime programming is your invisible neighbour, forever cheerful, always ready with advice and never ever wrinkling their trousers. You flip from one black and white program to the next, but the faces are always familiar. The earnest man in the sharp suit holding up a bottle of floor cleaner, the beaming mother whose secret to happiness is apparently a specific brand of gelatin dessert. In this world, problems last exactly 30 seconds, or until a new product swoops in to save the day. The commercials come thick and fast like a relentless march of miniature optimism. Tired of dingy collars? Is your husband frowning at dinner? Are your children simply too much? There's a product for everything, and if there isn't, someone is surely inventing one right now. As you work, you're serenaded by jingles so infectious you fear you'll be whistling them in your sleep. A quartet of cartoon cows sings the virtues of margarine. A smiling gentleman croons about the aroma that brings families home. The melody for happy home floor. Wax burrows so deep into your mind that you wonder if you'll someday be able to recall your children's birthdays with the same clarity. Between ads, the shows themselves feel like extended product demonstrations. The housewives on screen glide through sunlit kitchens, their hair immovable, their aprons pristine. Every setback, burnt toast, muddy footprints, a child with a single hair out of place, solved by a product you don't yet own. There is no disaster that can't be conquered with a box, a can, or a tube from the right company. Happiness, the TV assures you, is just 3 easy payments away. Occasionally you'll pause to watch a soap opera. Even here, heartbreak is interrupted by a perky pitch for the world's most effective dish soap, followed by a solemn promise from a man in a lab coat that his toothpaste will solve household discord. It's hard not to feel as if the solutions to life's real problems are just off screen, one jingle removed from reality. The line between drama and detergent blurs. Did she leave him because he forgot their anniversary, or because he switched brands of coffee? The laundry piles shrink as the commercials multiply. You fold each towel and sock with mechanical precision, quietly noting that none of the women on TV ever have to untangle a knot of damp underpants. Their children are always clean, their kitchens always bright, and their husbands never leave socks on the living room floor. You wonder what happens when the cameras turn off. Do the actresses sigh, change into sweatpants, and eat cold leftovers? Or do they too live forever in a world where every problem is sponsored, and every sadness can be wiped away with a lemon-scented spray? You finish folding the last shirt and turn the volume down, but the slogans linger in the air. Brighter, better, newer, happier. Daytime TV doesn't just sell you soap. It sells the dream of ease, perfection, and a life where even laundry day has a theme song. It's a lovely fantasy, as long as you remember to take it with a grain of salt, or, better yet, a coupon for half off. Laundry means a battle between stains, stubbornness, and whichever brand has the most aggressive mascot. You measure powder into the machine like it's an alchemical ritual, if only the result was gold, not grey socks. The sun is high, the laundry basket is overflowing, and somewhere a jingle for ultra-clean superflakes is stuck on repeat in your brain. This isn't just a chore, it's a weekly trial, a test of willpower and hope, waged on a battleground of underpants and dubious promises from people in lab coats. In the 1950s, Laundry Day is an event, both feared and venerated, where chemistry, salesmanship, and sheer force of habit all combine in a soapy, swirling dance. You begin by sorting the pile, whites, colours, delicates, and a mysterious category labelled probably ruined forever. The ritual is precise. Whites get the extra scoop, colours get the gentle touch, and the delicates, well, you'll hand wash those if you remember before they migrate to the bottom of the basket and fossilise. Every step, you recall the advice of the women on TV, always smiling, always wearing pearls, never once shown holding a pair of gym socks that could double as evidence in a forensic investigation. The soap itself is a marvel. Gone are the days of homemade lye and elbow grease. Now you have your pick of powders, flakes, and even a handful of futuristic tablets that dissolve with a showy fizz, all wrapped in packaging that promises brighter whites, softer towels, and children who thank you for your efforts. The mascots on the boxes wage psychological warfare on your insecurities. A grinning bear, a winking bubble, a muscular cartoon lady in an apron flexing a bicep the size of your laundry drum. They assure you that their brand alone possesses the secret formula. Enzymes, boosters, miracle blue crystals, and, if you believe the commercials, a dash of magic. With a deep breath, you open the box, releasing a cloud of scent so intense it could wake the neighbours. You measure exactly to the fill line, no more, no less. because you know from hard experience that skimping means stains, and overdoing it means a machine so foamy it sounds like a volcano in mid-eruption. Into the machine go the clothes, the powder, and with any luck your faith in modern progress. Then comes the waiting. The machine rumbles, water sloshes, the agitator thrashes like it's auditioning for a dance marathon. You peek through the lid, half expecting to see the stains waving little white flags. But no, removal is not guaranteed. While the ad ladies promise one wash is enough, you know the truth. Ketchup is eternal. Grass stains are the work of mischievous elves, and whatever's stuck to the inside of your husband's shirt pocket is best left unexamined. Meanwhile, your hands find work elsewhere, scrubbing at particularly tenacious marks with a brush that boasts specially angled bristles for ladylike strength. You can almost hear the mascot cheering you on, or perhaps taunting you, as you pit your wits against an unholy mix of chocolate, mud, and something unidentifiable that glows faintly in the dark. The reward for all this labour? Fresh sheets, the holy grail of household comfort, and that fleeting moment when the laundry basket is empty, and you feel briefly victorious. You hang the clothes in the yard, letting them flap in the breeze for the neighbours to admire, or judge, depending on how well you've done. You inhale deeply, soap, sun, and that peculiar satisfaction that only comes from winning a battle nobody else noticed. Of course, tomorrow the basket will be full again. Mascots will return. The cycle will continue. But for now, the laundry is clean, the day is bright, and you are, against all odds, the champion of the sudsy sciences. Spray, wipe, repeat. Each cleaner promises a gleaming future and a family that will finally notice how clean the baseboards are. Spoiler, they won't, but the lemon scent will haunt you for weeks. You stand in the middle of your kitchen, armed with a plastic spray bottle and an optimism that only comes from hours spent watching television commercials. The shelves under your sink are a rainbow of chemical concoctions, one for grease, one for glass, one for things that are allegedly hard to reach. The labels blare promises in patriotic fonts, shines like new, cleans in half the time, family will finally love you. Each product is endorsed by a cartoon scientist, a gleaming housewife, or, for some reason, a talking beaver in a bow tie. You start with the counters, methodically spraying and wiping, enjoying that first burst of lemon, which always smells less like fruit and more like the abstract concept of cleanliness. You scrub with gusto, encouraged by the memory of last night's ad in which a single spritz restored a burnt casserole dish to mirror brightness and, if you squint, seemed to save a marriage or two along the way. The kitchen gleams, but the work is far from over. Your eyes scan for the next battleground. The stove, the sink, the mystical area behind the toaster where breadcrumbs and despair accumulate in equal measure. Every surface is a challenge, every sticky patch a test of faith. Somewhere in the distance you can almost hear the ad man's voice. Is your life falling apart? Try Super Dazzle. It's not just a cleaner, it's a solution to everything you've ever worried about. You move to the baseboards, crouching like a penitent monk. The mythos of the miracle cleaner says that no home is truly clean until you can eat off the baseboards. You suspect this is a standard invented by people who have never actually met a child or a dog. Still, you persist spraying and scrubbing, while the sharp scent of lemon grows so strong you wonder if it's seeping into your very soul. You will dream of citrus until the end of time. Family members pass through, oblivious. Your spouse walks in, sniffs, and asks if you've started a new diet. The children dodge around you, tracking in fresh dirt from the yard, immediately undoing your efforts with the casual grace of Olympic saboteurs. You realise, with some resignation, that no commercial has ever shown a toddler with a fistful of jelly, or a dog with questionable priorities. You switch products for the bathroom, this one a turquoise gel that claims to defy soap scum at the molecular level. You picture the ad's animated soap bubble villain meeting its doom in a storm of bubbles and heroically flexing bristles. The real battle is less dramatic. You scrub and spray, the turquoise goo oozing with alarming cheeriness down the tiles. After a while, the grime surrenders at least, enough that you can claim victory and promise yourself you'll get the rest next Saturday. By mid-afternoon, your hands are chapped, your knees ache, and every room radiates with the ghostly aura of synthetic citrus and pine. You pause, survey your kingdom, and wait for the applause. None comes. No one notices the way the windows gleam, or the sink sparkles. You are left with the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing the truth. The myth of the miracle cleaner is just that, a myth. The only real magic is the ritual itself, the feeling of control, the knowledge that, for a brief shining moment, you've won a small battle in the endless war against entropy. You collapse on the couch, a faint smile tugging at your lips, the sharp smell of lemon still clinging to your hands. Tomorrow the mess will return, and the ads will promise something new. But for now, your home is clean, at least until the dog comes back inside. There's a knock. Another man in a suit, armed with a smile and a suitcase full of things you didn't know you needed. You wonder if the doorbell came with a built-in guilt trip. The routine is as predictable as it is inescapable. It's barely noon, and you're still wiping the last traces of lemon-scented cleaner from your hands when the first chime of the day cuts through your kitchen like a clarion call. Outside the window, the dog barks with the certainty of a creature who has seen this play before. You hesitate, briefly considering the merits of pretending you're not home, but the neat white curtains twitch a little too obviously, and the salesman catches the movement like a hawk on a mouse. You open the door to a tidal wave of charm. He's immaculate, hair slicked, shoes polished, tie knotted so tightly you suspect there's a training seminar for that. His grin is polished too, equal parts confidence and a hint of I can't go home until I sell this. In one hand, the all-important briefcase. In the other, today's product of destiny. A vacuum, a set of encyclopedias, miracle Tupperware, or, on bold days, a life insurance policy that promises peace of mind and a free umbrella. He launches into his pitch with the unstoppable force of a man who has memorized every talking point since birth. Good afternoon, Mum. May I ask if you're satisfied with your current potato masher? Before you can answer, he's in the entryway, suitcase snapping open to reveal a museum's worth of gadgets, gizmos and brochures so glossy they reflect your own startled expression. You know how this goes. He asks questions you can't possibly answer without sounding foolish. Wouldn't you agree that every home needs a 12-speed electric hand mixer? You nod, though you're not entirely sure what the first 11 speeds would even do. He demonstrates his product, be it a mop, a non-stick pan, or a citrus reamer, while reciting a jingle that by dinner will have taken up permanent residence in your head. Part of you admires his dedication. It's not easy, crisscrossing neighbourhoods, lugging demonstration models up perfectly weeded walkways, and pitching hope and household efficiency to an army of housewives who just this morning swore they'd never fall for it again. But the other part, the part that has survived 5 vacuum demonstrations and still hasn't forgiven the incident with the door-to-door Bible salesman, stays vigilant. He offers samples, sometimes a cup of coffee or a discount just for you. The air grows thick with obligation, and you remember every warning your mother ever gave about strangers and persuasive men in hats. You try to say no politely, but the script is watertight. Every polite refusal is a setup for another feature, another special offer, another reminder that wise women invest in the future of their families. Meanwhile, your children lurk nearby, eyes wide, hoping this salesman has brought anything remotely fun. Balloons, stickers, or the greatest prize of all, a tiny paper hat. The dog, now resigned to his fate, lies in the hallway, offering only the occasional warning growl as the man produces a miniature vacuum that allegedly scares away pet hair and perhaps all known evil. You finally escape with a promise to think it over and a handful of brochures that will soon join their cousins in the recycling bin. The door closes, peace descends briefly until the next knock or the next guilt-laced chime. You sigh, tuck the brochures in a drawer labelled someday/maybe/never, and marvel at the resilience of the human spirit and the persistence of a good suit. In the end, you survived the midday gauntlet, your wallet mostly intact, your dignity a little rumpled, and your home only slightly closer to acquiring a deluxe stainless steel potato ricer. The real miracle is that you'll be ready to do it all again tomorrow. You eat last night's casserole while reading the back of a soup can for the 100th time. Every ingredient is a commercial in disguise. Even your sandwich bread brags about vitamins it probably doesn't have. Lunchtime is less a meal and more an ongoing negotiation between nostalgia, necessity, and the aggressive optimism of food packaging. The clock says noon, but your appetite says whatever's left. The casserole sits squarely at the centre of the table, sturdy as a brick, topped with a crust of melted cheese and hope. Beneath the surface, it's a geological cross-section of last night's ambition. bits of ham, suspicious peas, and a creamy sauce best described as vaguely familiar. The recipe once promised to be the pride of every 1950s housewife. Now it's simply what's for lunch. You sit with your plate, fork in one hand, and a can of condensed soup in the other, idly scanning the label as you chew. Packed with wholesome flavour, it assures you, fortified with essential vitamins. The ingredient list reads like a secret code. Monosodium something, hydrolyzed that, a dash of artificial this and natural that. The Khan's cheerful mascot, somewhere between a tomato and a clown, winks up at you, promising warmth, family, and absolutely no digestive regrets. The bread for your sandwich is softer than a cloud, the colour of a lightly toasted dream. It claims to have more iron than a locomotive and more enrichment than the town library. You take a bite and marvel at the way it dissolves instantly, leaving only a memory and a dusting of flour. The commercial said it would build strong bodies 12 ways. You're still counting. You wash it all down with a glass of milk that, depending on the week, is homogenized for health or ultra-pasteurized for progress. The ads you've seen assure you that this milk will keep your children tall, your bones sturdy, and your marriage free of scandal. It's a lot of pressure for a beverage that came from a cow you've never met. Lunch is not a solitary affair, even when you're the only one at the table. The radio plays a local station's noon hour, featuring advertisements disguised as recipes, and recipes disguised as advertisements. Try it with sun-kissed peas for extra sparkle. Don't forget to use Golden Whip because every family deserves a dollop of joy. By the time you've finished your casserole, you're convinced you're only one condiment away from domestic nirvana. There's a stack of coupons nearby, some for products you actually need, most for things you bought once because the jingle wouldn't leave your brain. The peanut butter boasts about stick-to-the-roof-of-your-mouth goodness. The jelly is jam-packed with sunshine. Even your butter is recommended by dentists, a claim you find both suspicious and oddly comforting. Sometimes, you wonder what would happen if you ignored the commercials, tossed the coupons, and just ate a plain piece of fruit. But then you remember the apples in the crisper, bruised and quietly fermenting, and you decide that maybe the casserole isn't so bad after all. In these moments, you realize how much loyalty is baked into every bite. You buy the same brands your mother did, convinced by habit and hope that they're still the best. Maybe it's the comfort of familiarity, or maybe it's the low-grade anxiety that trying something new will end in mutiny at the dinner table. Either way, the cycle repeats, meal after meal, label after label, slogan after slogan. As you clear your plate and rinse out the soup can, you smile at the absurdity of it all. Even your leftovers come with a guarantee, now with more flavour, and your sandwich is a love letter from the food industry, sealed in wax paper and delivered with a wink. Lunchtime in the 1950s, nourishing, nostalgic, and never quite what the package promised. You collapse on the couch for your midday break, but the TV soap opera is just another excuse for detergent ads. Every cliffhanger is brought to you by a whiter, brighter promise. For a fleeting moment, you dare to believe you might actually relax. The laundry is spinning itself into submission. The kitchen is suspiciously quiet, and the only thing you're holding is a chipped mug of instant coffee. You ease yourself into the groove of the couch, the cushions still faintly scented with lemon and a whiff of last night's casserole. Your midday ritual is simple. Lose yourself in a world of scandal and longing, at least until the rinse cycle finishes, or someone starts yelling about socks. The screen flickers to life with an orchestral fanfare. Here, on As the Sun Sets or Hearts in Turmoil, or whichever drama is currently scheduled to ruin a fictional marriage, people argue in elegant living rooms where not a single toy or dust bunny lurks. The stakes are high. Secret affairs, forgotten inheritances, family feuds that began sometime during the Roosevelt administration and are still unresolved. Just as the tension peaks, will Gregory confess to Margaret? Will Aunt Edith recover her memory before the will is read? The scene abruptly shifts. Suddenly you're no longer in a mansion, but standing in a kitchen even cleaner than yours, with a glamorous woman rhapsodizing about the new Ultra Sheer Wonder Wash powder. The commercial break is the real main character. The drama may have you on the edge of your seat, but the real suspense lies in how white a shirt can get, how fresh towels can smell, and whether a single scoop can save an entire marriage. Every crisis in the show is solved off-screen, apparently by a detergent. Is your husband growing distant? Try Britmatic and watch him come running, unless he's run off with your best friend, in which case, enjoy our floral scent. The jingles worm into your brain, as persistent as dandelions and twice as impossible to root out. You notice the sly choreography of it all. The same actress who wept over her missing child mere moments ago now beams as she pulls a dazzlingly clean handkerchief from the wash. A family that spent an entire episode plotting against one another sits around a dinner table, united by their love for crisp, freshly laundered napkins. Even the most tragic betrayal is softened by the gentle assurance that a new life starts with new linens. Meanwhile, you are your own pile of laundry waiting in the next room, silently comparing your efforts with the effortless magic promised on screen. You've tried every powder, every booster, every enzyme-powered formula. You've even attempted that trick where you clap your hands and pretend your chores will vanish by the next commercial break. No luck. Your towels stubbornly refuse to feel like clouds, and your husband has yet to compliment the scent of alpine meadows you spritzed on his undershirts. The show resumes, and you're drawn back into a world where problems can be solved with a knowing glance, a secret recipe, or at worst, a change in detergent. You watch, you laugh, you groan, and you know deep down that when the credits roll, you'll still be here in your not quite spotless home, comforted by the knowledge that real life is just a little messier, a little more wrinkled, and blessedly free of a laugh track. The next time you scoop powder into the washer, you'll hum the jingle without meaning to. And when someone asks about the stains on their shirt, you'll just smile and tell them, "That's a story for tomorrow's episode." The washing machine churns like a mechanical beast. Every commercial claims to defeat tough dirt, but the only thing tougher is your resolve not to scream when you see yet another grass stain. You stand at the front lines of domestic warfare, apron tied, sleeves rolled, clutching a pair of tiny dungarees bearing the emerald signature of yet another backyard campaign. Grass stains, chocolate blotches, ring around the collar, each a medal from the ongoing struggle that is family life in the 1950s. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the faint echoes of those detergent jingles, promising victory in every wash, as if your laundry room were a battlefield and you, its fearless general. The laundry basket overflows with the casualties of daily life. Your son's baseball uniform, ground in with half the infield, your husband's shirt, ink-stained from an ambitious crossword, your own apron splattered with casserole fallout. The TV commercials depict stain removal as an act of gentle persuasion. A single scoop, a swirl, a smile, and voila! But here, in the real world, it's a siege. The stains dig in for the long haul, taunting you with their bold colours and alarming tenacity. Your weapon of choice is the latest miracle detergent, boasting enzymes, blue speckles, and a cartoon mascot that seems a little too smug for comfort. The box claims to obliterate stains on contact, but you suspect this is optimistic at best. Still, you measure carefully, not daring to exceed the recommended scoop for fear of foaming up a new natural disaster. The washing machine rumbles and sloshes, gears grinding, water agitating, as if it knows the fate of the family wardrobe hangs in the balance. While the machine thrashes, you tackle the most stubborn spots by hand, armed with a scrub brush and a bottle of pre-wash miracle spray. The commercial for this product showed a glamorous housewife dispatching wine spills with a single dab. Your reality is less glamorous, hunched over the sink, muttering threats at a spot of ketchup as if it might be intimidated into leaving. The cat watches from a safe distance, unimpressed. Every commercial you've ever seen promises that stains will disappear as if by magic. But real magic, it turns out, is a mix of elbow grease, mild exasperation, and the ability to admit defeat when faced with indelible markers. The kids' clothes, with their constellation of splatters, become a sort of history lesson, each spot a memory, each smudge a story. There's the mysterious red stain from last week's popsicle incident, the blue one from an unauthorized art project, and a greyish smear whose origins are best left unexplored. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a stain survives the onslaught. It fades, it softens, but it never quite vanishes. You contemplate the possibility that some stains are simply eternal, part of the fabric now, like a tattoo or a warning to future generations. The commercials never mention this. They show dazzling white shirts, never the battle scars of real life. The rinse cycle kicks in, the final spin whirls, and you pull the clothes from the machine with a hopeful sigh. You hold each garment up to the light, searching for traces of yesterday's chaos. Some victories are clear. A shirt, returned to respectability. A sock, no longer a map of the backyard. Other times you fold the stubbornly stained item, resigned, and tell yourself that maybe, with enough sun and enough time, it will fade, or at least become less noticeable. In the end, the war on stains is less about winning and more about perseverance. Tomorrow will bring new grass, new spills, new badges of everyday life. The washing machine will thunder, the detergent will promise, and you'll face it all again, undaunted, armed with hope, and maybe, just maybe, a coupon for next week's miracle formula. With feather duster in hand, you chase dust bunnies and the unattainable dream of a home worthy of a magazine cover. Advertisers say your self-worth is just one polish away. It starts innocently enough. A ray of sunlight slanting through the living room window exposes a constellation of particles swirling lazily through the air. You pause, feather duster poised, wondering if this is what astronomers feel when they discover a new galaxy, except in your universe. The stars are made of lint, dog hair, and the ghostly remains of last week's cookie binge. You work your way through the living room, brandishing your duster with a mix of hope and resignation. The TV commercials promised that dusting could be transformative, a few elegant swipes, a spritz of lemon polish, and voila! Not just a clean room, but a clean slate, a new beginning, perhaps even a more interesting husband. Shine is happiness, they say. Polish away your troubles. If only it were that simple. You swirl and sweep, but the shine you seek always seems to recede just out of reach, like a mirage in the desert of your daily routine. The coffee table is your first battleground. It holds an impressive collection of magazines, Better Living for Families, Modern Housewife, and the ever-popular Vacuum Enthusiast Monthly, all flaunting cover homes where not a single fingerprint dares linger. Your own table, despite your best efforts, is perpetually ringed with the ghosts of coffee mugs past. You polish, you buff, you plead with the grain of the wood, promising to buy a coaster set if it'll just look respectable until Friday. Next is the piano, a proud monument to music lessons and good intentions, and a magnet for every stray particle in a 3-mile radius. The feather duster, meant for elegance, is really just spreading things around, but you persist, confident that enough lemon-scented spray will make up for technique. As you dust, you hear your mother's voice dust the tops of the picture frames. Company notices, and you find yourself stretching on tiptoe, balancing like a circus performer, just to make sure no guest leaves with tales of your slovenly baseboards. The bookshelf is a saga all its own. You slide aside paperbacks and family photo albums, uncovering a tiny civilization of dust mites who have apparently thrived undisturbed since Truman was in office. There's a fleeting urge to leave them be, maybe start charging rent, but the Polish bottle on the TV made it look so effortless you can't help but persist. Each pass of the duster is accompanied by a silent wish. May someone, someday, actually notice this. The trouble is, nobody does. Your family breezes in, dropping jackets and backpacks onto your freshly shined surfaces. A child sneezes. Your spouse asks if there's anything for lunch. No one says a word about the dazzling gleam on the lamp base or the heroic removal of spider webs from the ceiling fan. The validation you crave, a single gasp, a whispered "how do you do it?" remains as elusive as a streak-free finish. You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, slightly smudged but determined. Advertisers may claim your self-worth is measured in shine, but you're starting to suspect they never tried dusting around a cat. The room smells of lemon and accomplishment, and if you squint, you can almost believe the illusion. The house will never make it to the cover of a magazine, but it's lived in, loved, and mostly dust-free for the next 10 minutes. So you fluff the throw pillows, step back, and take in your handiwork. Dust bunnies may multiply, and perfection may be a moving target, but for now, your home is enough. Even if the only one who notices is you. It's 4 p.m., and you're deciding between making something from scratch or giving in to the seductive ease of canned soup. The ad promised homemade taste, but your conscience tastes preservatives. The sun is dipping, the clock is ticking, and somewhere, a radio jingle is whispering the siren song of efficiency. Just heat and serve. You stand in your kitchen, paralyzed by the paradox of progress. On the counter sits a pile of raw potatoes, carrots, and hope, ingredients for a meal that would surely earn you a medal if only you started 2 hours ago. Beside them, a row of cans gleams in the fading light. each one a promise sealed in tin. Chicken noodle, tomato bisque, cream of something. Each label features a smiling housewife, ladle in hand, radiating health and confidence, and not a single trace of guilt. You weigh your options. Cooking from scratch means peeling, chopping, sautéing, simmering, a ballet of activity that might, if all goes well, result in a dinner worthy of a magazine spread. But it also means a sink full of pots, and the likelihood that at least one child will declare themselves allergic to whatever vegetable you snuck in. The canned soup, on the other hand, is ready in 5 minutes. It's so simple you could almost do it with your eyes closed, which at this hour is not out of the question. The advertisements make it sound so easy. No one will know it's from a can, fresher than fresh, just like Mother used to make, if Mother had access to industrial preservatives and a marketing department. The guilt creeps in anyway. You hear your own mother's voice in your head. Real meals take time, and wonder if she'd forgive you for choosing convenience over culinary virtue. You tell yourself you'll make up for it next week with a roast, or a soufflé, or at the very least a salad that doesn't involve jello. As you reach for the can opener, the children drift into the kitchen, noses twitching, eyes scanning the horizon for signs of dinner. They ask, with the innocence only children can muster, if you're making the good soup, which means the one with noodles shaped like animals. Your spouse appears, briefcase in hand, and sniffs the air. Smells great, he lies, eyeing the can with a mixture of relief and mild betrayal. You work your magic. One swift turn of the can opener, a glug into the pot, a quick stir with your favourite wooden spoon. The soup bubbles and burbles filling the air with the unmistakable scent of childhood and sodium. You toast some bread, slice a little cheese, and before you know it, dinner is served. Piping hot, mercifully quick, and greeted with genuine enthusiasm. It turns out nobody's grading you on originality. Hunger is the great equalizer, and tonight everyone passes with flying colours. Still, a tiny voice nags as you clear the dishes. Should you have made the casserole? Would the roast have been worth the effort? Does anyone, anywhere, actually prefer split-pea soup made from scratch? The empty bowls and happy faces tell one story, the voice in your head another. You tuck away the cans, promising yourself tomorrow will be homemade, artisanal and labour-intensive, or, at the very least, involve less sodium. At the end of the day, you realise the real dinner dilemma isn't between scratch and convenience, but between expectation and reality. The ads might promise homemade taste and guilt-free meals, but what really matters is the laughter around the table, the simple relief of a meal shared, and the quiet triumph of feeding a family in a world that never quite matches the picture on the label. You wipe, buff, and polish until the kitchen sink sparkles so brightly it could guide lost ships. This, apparently, is what progress looks like, a reflection of your face surrounded by mild despair. It's not just a sink, it's the battleground where all your hopes for domestic excellence live and die, usually by noon. The commercials make it look so easy. One spritz, one swipe, and you've ascended into a new plane of housekeeping enlightenment. The reality is less ethereal. You crouched over the basin, wielding a sponge with the righteous fury of someone determined to outshine every neighbour within a 3-block radius. You scrub at water spots that have become permanent fixtures, like geological features on a tiny stainless steel landscape. There's the ever-present ring where a cup sat too long, and a mysterious crust near the drain that resists all mortal efforts at removal. No matter how much you wipe, rinse, or threaten it with the extra strength cleaner, the sink seems to absorb grime faster than you can keep up. The only constant is the faint citrus scent of defeat. Every magazine and TV ad insists the shiny sink is the true test of a happy home. If your sink shines, your life is in order, proclaims a grinning housewife in pearls. She's probably never fished a congealed noodle from the drain trap, or discovered a child's science experiment bubbling beneath the sponge caddy. Her sink, backlit, spotless, surrounded by vases of fresh daisies, exists only in the commercial world. Yours is a living, breathing ecosystem with its own unique aroma and a talent for collecting forks. You step back to admire your progress, momentarily blinded by the sunbeam glancing off the polished steel. The reflection stares back, tired, slightly flushed, determined. For a split second, you do feel a glimmer of accomplishment. Then a small hand reaches into the frame, drops a glob of peanut butter directly into the basin, and disappears with the innocent cackle of someone who has never cleaned a sink in their life. There's an odd psychology at play. The cult of the shiny sink is less about hygiene and more about control. In a world of endless to-do lists, shifting trends, and meals that vanish faster than they appear, the ability to make one thing gleam is a small, defiant act. Here, at least, you are victorious. At least until someone decides to help with the dishes, and the cycle begins anew. Your spouse glances in as you buff the faucet to a mirror shine. "Looks nice," he says, stepping carefully around your cleaning zone, perhaps sensing that this is not the time for casual critiques. The children, oblivious to your labour, use the sink as a launchpad for science experiments, pet baths, and the occasional attempt at indoor gardening. Even the dog manages to contribute, slurping from the faucet and leaving behind a Jackson Pollock of noseprints. By nightfall, the shine has faded. The sink is a little duller, a little wetter, but you, against all odds, are still standing. You light a scented candle, pour yourself a cup of tea, and toast to another day of hard-fought, underappreciated brilliance. Because the truth, unspoken by advertisers and rarely celebrated, is that the shine doesn't last, but your effort does. In the world of spotless kitchens and unattainable standards, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is polish your sink, admire your own reflection, and remember that progress, like a clean dish, is fleeting but always worth the work. It's time for the PTA meeting, a gathering powered by stale coffee and the collective fear of disappointing the principal. Even here, every raffle prize is sponsored by a new cleaning product. You load your purse with the essential supplies, a notepad, 2 pens, an extra coupon or 3, just in case, and the grim resolve of someone about to enter a social arena where the stakes are suspiciously high. The PTA meeting is less about education and more about unspoken competitions. Who baked the best brownies? Who remembered the agenda? And most importantly, who can smile the longest without blinking? The meeting is held in the school's multi-purpose room, a space that smells of eraser dust, aging linoleum, and the faint tang of ambition. Long folding tables form a haphazard circle, and at the centre is a battered coffee urn that looks like it survived the Great Depression. The percolator gurgles away, churning out cup after cup of bitter, watery coffee that can only be swallowed with generous helpings of powdered creamer and forced optimism. There are donuts too, but only the plain ones are left by the time you arrive. The frosted and filled varieties vanish in a blur of PTA veterans who could easily teach your children lessons in advanced physics, mainly how to move at the speed of light when there's pastry involved. As you find your seat, the principal glides in with the poise of someone who knows their presence can trigger a minor panic. Everyone straightens up, clutching their cups and waiting for the roll call. Names are checked, tasks are delegated, and suggestions are solicited, always with a gentle but unmistakable undertone of "don't let us down." You make a mental note not to volunteer for anything involving glue or glitter, knowing all too well that craft leader is a role you never escape. Business is brisk but punctuated by an endless parade of product pitches. "Thank you to Sparkle Maid for sponsoring tonight's raffle," declares the PTA president, waving a bottle of lemon-scented floor wax. A chorus of polite claps follows, but you can see the calculation in every eye. Is it worth risking the embarrassment of winning a year's supply of bathroom cleaner just for the off chance of a $10 grocery card? Someone passes around a flyer for Miracle Suds detergent. Try a sample, join the contest, prove you love your family in 25 words or less. Somewhere between old business and new business, the conversation turns to fundraising. Ideas are floated, bake sales, car washes, a musical with suspiciously enthusiastic suggestions for casting Mrs. Hargrove as the lead. You try to pay attention, but your mind drifts, lulled by the gentle drone of percolated coffee and the faint promise of lemon-fresh prizes. Occasionally the door opens and a latecomer shuffles in, clutching a tray of cupcakes or a baby, hoping to blend into the wallpaper. As the meeting wears on, alliances form and dissolve over committee assignments. The holiday bazaar group eyes the field day crew with envy. One gets all the fun crafts, the other all the paperwork. The principal's smile never wavers, a reminder that somewhere a higher authority is always watching, ready to judge your ability to sell wrapping paper or organize a carpool. You sip your coffee, lukewarm, gritty, heroic. The PTA president launches into a final round of thanks, sponsored, of course, by a brand new cleaning spray guaranteed to erase stubborn marks from both floors and reputations. You collect your raffle ticket, check your watch, and begin plotting your escape. If you're lucky, you'll make it home in time for your children's bedtime. your dignity mostly intact and a complimentary sponge in your purse. In the world of PTA meetings, nothing is ever truly clean, except maybe the floors, courtesy of the raffle's grand prize. And as you leave, you realise it's not just about fundraising, it's about surviving. One awkward laugh, one cup of percolated coffee, and one lemon-scented raffle prize at a time. Dinner is over, and you gather around the TV for the nightly news. Every tragedy is followed by a cheery commercial, reminding you that no matter what happens, your dishes can still sparkle. The living room transforms into a miniature amphitheatre as the family assembles, plates cleared and chairs angled just so. The TV, humming, glowing, occasionally whistling like an old radiator, takes centre stage. Your spouse claims the good chair, children pile onto the sofa, and you perch on the armrest, ready to leap up for snacks, drinks, or a sudden sibling dispute that threatens to escalate into World War III before Walter Cronkite can say good evening. The news anchor's voice is calm, authoritative, and just the tiniest bit melancholy. He recounts the day's events, storms, politics, the price of bread, with the kind of steady resolve that makes you believe everything might be all right so long as you finish your peas and pay attention. Occasionally the camera cuts to footage of bustling cities or faraway disasters, and the family goes silent, eyes wide, absorbing the distant drama with the solemnity only possible after a full stomach and a dessert of instant pudding. But the mood never lingers. In the blink of an eye, the tragedy is replaced by a jingle. The very same screen that showed floods and fires now bursts with the grinning faces of actors overjoyed by their spotless dinnerware. Tough times? Tough stains? Not in this house. A radiant housewife waves a gleaming plate, and suddenly it's as if the real problem all along was residue on the cutlery. Your children, still sticky from dessert, giggle at the dancing bottle of dish soap. Your spouse, never one to be left behind by a trend, muses aloud whether it's time to try the new lemon formula. You suspect he's just hoping for more lemon-scented everything. The commercials are relentless, each one brighter, shinier, and more aggressively cheerful than the last. There's a toothpaste that guarantees unstoppable confidence, a car that promises family harmony, and a frozen dinner that assures you that love can in fact be microwaved. You marvel at the optimism, the belief that happiness comes pre-packaged and ready to serve. Between segments, the children reenact the commercials, holding up spoons and miming the whitest wash, or pretending to faint with joy over invisible soap bubbles. The living room becomes a stage, the world's smallest product demonstration, with you as the sole, captive audience. You smile because at least no one is reenacting the day's headlines. The newscast resumes, and the family's focus shifts back to the larger world. You realise the rhythm of the hour, bad news, good news, and the ceaseless hope of new and improved cleaning products. The ads act as a buffer, promising that even if the world outside is unpredictable, your home can remain a bastion of order and shine, as long as you keep buying the right things. There's comfort in the ritual, the sameness, the certainty, the belief that while you can't fix world affairs, you can at least fix soap scum. You trade a look with your spouse, a silent conversation of, "Isn't this something?" And maybe tomorrow we'll switch brands. The news winds down, the TV flickers one last bright commercial, and the living room settles into a gentle post-news hush. As you turn off the set and herd the family toward bedtime, you're left with the sense that, come what may, you'll face it together. The world might be changing outside, but inside, surrounded by your nuclear family and a small mountain of sparkling dishes, you can almost believe the best is yet to come, at least until the next commercial break. You find yourself at a neighbour's house, trapped in a room full of plastic containers and polite desperation. The hostess beams as she stacks lids and explains how each bowl will revolutionise leftovers, and possibly your entire identity. It's a Tuesday evening, and you'd hoped for a quiet night in with a magazine and the company of your own dust bunnies. Instead, you're perched on a folding chair in Mrs. Johnson's living room, surrounded by women you mostly know by their potato salad and their skill at avoiding bake sale duty. The air is thick with the smell of instant coffee, vanilla candles, and the faint whiff of commercial ambition. On every surface, bowls, boxes, canisters, and mysterious contraptions for things you didn't know needed storing. A rainbow of plastic, each piece promising airtight freshness and a future free from soggy sandwiches and marital disappointment. Your hostess, wearing a grin so wide it borders on heroic, moves around the room like a flight attendant preparing for takeoff. She demonstrates the burp, that magical little puff of air when you close the lid just so. There are oohs and ahs as she stacks one container atop another, defying gravity and reason. Each bowl comes with a story. The green one saved a potluck, the blue one kept lettuce crisp for weeks, the tiny yellow one is apparently essential for every modern woman's purse. She's practiced these lines in the mirror, and it shows. You almost believe the right lid might in fact solve your existential woes. The other guests nod along, sipping weak coffee and quietly calculating how many sets they can justify before their husbands begin to suspect a secret container cult. There's a faint undercurrent of competition. Who will buy the most? Who will host the next party? Who will unlock the ultimate prize? A free cake carrier? Or better yet, a moment of admiration from the group. You leaf through the order form, stunned at the sheer variety. There are containers for eggs, containers for cake, containers for celery, and yes, containers for other containers. It's a nesting doll of obligation and potential. Your hostess introduces a game, guess how many mini lids in the jar, and you gamely play along, inwardly wishing you could guess how many minutes until escape. Prizes are awarded, a keychain, a recipe card, a lifetime supply of vague regret. Every time you try to edge toward the door, someone corners you to rave about the onion keeper. It changed my life, or the deviled egg tray. I never entertain without it. By the time you realize your only hope is to surrender, you've already written a check for a starter set and a second set just in case. The night winds down with a solemn toast of freshness and modern womanhood, everyone promising to stay in touch and never, ever microwave spaghetti without a lid again. Your hostess tallies her sales with the gleam of victory in her eyes. The rest of you trade Tupperware tips and the silent, unspoken knowledge that next month, this will be your living room. You step out into the night, arms full of pastel plastic and brain humming with ideas for leftover storage. The stars are out, the air is cool, and you can't help but wonder, maybe, just maybe, one of these bowls really will make everything easier. Or maybe, like all the best products of the 1950s, it's the hope that keeps you coming back, stacking, burping, sealing away doubts, one lid at a time. You smear on cold cream and ponder if the scientifically proven claims on the box will erase fine lines or just your sense of self. Either way, you smell faintly of cucumbers and regret. The ritual begins at the bathroom mirror, under the harsh light of 100-watt optimism. All around you are jars, bottles, and tubes in pastel colours, each promising a miracle in small, elegant print. There's cold cream for youthful clarity, vanishing cream for radiant glow, and a tube of something called night renewal elixir, which, if the ad is to be believed, will return you to the very hour of your birth. The words clinical, dermatologist, and breakthrough leap out from every label, sounding far more official than the concoctions inside. Tonight, you've opted for the full regimen. First, a thorough cleansing, massaging cold cream into your cheeks as recommended by Miss Rita, the beauty advisor in last month's magazine. Her article promised results in as little as a week, which is just long enough for you to forget whether anything changed at all. You wipe away the cream with a tissue, marvelling at the layer of hope and possibly yesterday's mascara left behind. Next comes the toner, allegedly pH balanced, though you're not entirely sure what that means, only that it stings in a way that feels productive. The instructions, written in cursive so dainty it could charm a Victorian ghost, assure you that a tingling sensation is proof it's working. You wait, scanning your reflection for the faintest sign of improvement, but mostly just see the determined face of a woman who's read too many testimonials. Now, the moisturizers. There's one for daytime, one for nighttime, one for dullness, one for vibrancy, and another for special occasions. Though your definition of a special occasion these days is making it to bed before the 11 o'clock news. You dutifully dot, rub, and pat, layering on the elixirs like armour against the slow march of time and the faster march of your children. Every jar claims a patent, a scientific study, a secret ingredient. You've purchased creams containing royal jelly, ginseng, lanolin, and something called polyquench, which sounds suspiciously like an industrial lubricant. The latest box even boasts peptides derived from the rarest Swiss mushrooms, as if fungi from another continent are all that stand between you and premature crow's feet. Of course, the ads make it sound like progress itself is happening right on your cheeks. There's always a white-coated man in the commercial, gesturing at a chart while a smiling model nods, her skin so luminous it practically glows in the dark. You wonder if, somewhere out there, actual scientists are peering into microscopes, pondering how many more compounds can be squeezed into a half-ounce jar before the fabric of space-time unravels. You finish with a swipe of cucumber-calming mist, which leaves you feeling as though you've fallen face-first into a salad. Your spouse pokes his head in, sniffs the air, and wisely refrains from comment. The children giggle at the strange potions lined up along the counter, unaware that someday they too will stand here, armed with hope and a buy-one-get-one-free coupon. Finally, you step back and examine the results. Are you younger? Maybe. Are you shinier? Definitely. Will you buy it again? Almost certainly, if only because next month there will be a new formula, a new ad, and the irresistible promise that this, at last, is the one that truly works. And as you switch off the light, skin gleaming and hope renewed, you realize the real magic isn't in the science, but in the ritual itself. A nightly act of faith in jars, in progress, and most of all, in yourself. The kids have their own ad agenda, begging for every toy, cereal, and sugar bomb they see on TV. The commercials aren't just for you. They're coming for the whole family. You thought you were the target, the hardworking parent, the gatekeeper of the grocery list, the final arbiter of which pudding brand wins the coveted spot in your pantry. But as soon as the kids hit the age where they can point at a screen and shout, "I want that one," you realize the real ad campaign is happening over your head and under your roof. It starts innocently enough. A cartoon breaks for commercial, and suddenly your living room is filled with animated creatures pitching breakfast cereal that turns the milk neon pink. Within seconds, your children are bouncing on the couch, eyes wide and shining with the possibility of marshmallow moons and chocolate-frosted everything. The phrase "part of a balanced breakfast" loses all meaning as you realize their balance involves a teetering stack of sugar cubes and exactly one apologetic slice of banana. By lunchtime, the lobbying is in full swing. They recite jingles with the precision of stage actors, warbling about delicious crunch and super-powered snacks. The youngest has memorized the exact number of toy cars included with each box of cereal. The oldest, ever the strategist, leaves magazine clippings on your pillow, carefully circled in red crayon. "Please, Mum." They barter, negotiate, and when all else fails, go straight to the top grandma, who is notoriously susceptible to pleas for just one box. Trips to the grocery store become battlegrounds. The cereal aisle is a fluorescent war zone, every box festooned with comic book heroes, glow-in-the-dark stickers, or promises of exclusive trading cards. You try to stick to the shopping list, but the kids have other plans. They block the path, plead their cases, and resort to the oldest tactic in the book, volume. Their unified chorus can be heard 3 aisles away, and you suspect the store manager has a direct phone line to the advertising department, just to report which jingle was most effective this week. It doesn't stop at cereal. There are commercials for soft drinks that fizz and pop with the power of secret ingredients, and snack cakes with enough artificial colour to repaint the family sedan. Even the toys advertised in between Saturday morning cartoons are precision-engineered to bypass your adult cynicism and aim straight for the "but everyone else has one" reflex. By the end of the week, your home is littered with yo-yos that light up, miniature cars that claim to drive on walls, and half-eaten boxes of cookies that taste mostly of cardboard and ambition. At first, you try to fight back. You declare commercial breaks off-limits. You substitute healthier options and invent reasons why we're out of that, maybe next month. But your resolve wavers when the kids organise, pooling allowance money and drafting heartfelt letters. "Dear Mum, I promise to eat all my vegetables if you buy this cereal. Love, your child." Even you, a veteran of 1,000 coupon battles, can't withstand the onslaught forever. You realise you're not alone. At PTA meetings, the topic arises, always accompanied by a chorus of knowing sighs. Have you tried saying no to the new rainbow snack cakes? Do your kids sing the jingle for that drink with the cartoon frog? The answer is always yes. The advertisers know their audience, and their audience knows how to pester. By bedtime, you surrender. A box or two of sugar-laden dreams find their way into the cart, balanced by apples and the vague hope that vitamins might sneak in. You tuck the kids in, humming a jingle against your will, and promise yourself that tomorrow you'll be stronger. But as you switch off the lights, you can't help but marvel. The ads aren't just selling cereal or toys. They're selling memories, mischief, and the unstoppable optimism of childhood itself. And honestly, who can say no to that? It's bedtime, and your husband emerges from the bathroom in a cloud of aftershave that claims to restore romance and, apparently, the ozone layer. You wonder if love is really just one spritz away. The transformation is nightly and always theatrical. One moment he's a mild-mannered breadwinner, dozing off in the easy chair with the newspaper sliding toward the floor. The next, he's a cologne-scented Casanova, gliding through the bedroom doorway in a fog so pungent it should have a warning label. The aftershave bottle on the counter promised irresistible allure, executive freshness, and, for reasons never fully explained, rugged mountain energy. All this from a solution that contains more alcohol than your neighbour's punch bowl. You watch as he adjusts his pyjama waistband, pats down his hair, and gives his chin a final, approving rub. He looks in your direction with that hopeful gleam, the one that says he's read the aftershave box from front to back and believes every word. The advertising copy painted a picture of moonlit walks, soft jazz, and rekindled passion ignited by the bracing tingle of imported botanicals. You wonder, as you inhale the mix of menthol and misplaced optimism, if there's a disclaimer somewhere about lingering headaches. You smile and say something encouraging. After all, you're no stranger to the powers of advertising. Your own nightstand is cluttered with cold creams and beauty balms promising eternal youth and morning glow. If love is supposed to be bottled, mass-marketed and spritzed in liberal doses, you might as well give it a fair shot. Romance in the 1950s has a scent, and tonight it's half pine, half laboratory, and all ambition. He sits on the edge of the bed, radiating confidence and a subtle panic that maybe he overdid it. You're reminded of the aftershave ads, smiling couples, firelit rooms, the suggestion that a dab on the neck will transform a tired parent into a matinee idol. The taglines echo in your mind. Make her swoon again, because first impressions are forever, and your personal favourite. Don't let love go stale. Freshen up nightly. You do your best not to cough. He catches your eye, clearly waiting for a reaction. You consider telling him that yes, it does remind you of your honeymoon, or the woods, or at least a freshly sanitised barbershop. Instead, you simply pat his hand, grateful that the only thing more persistent than the scent is the devotion behind it. Outside, the kids are finally quiet. The house settles into the deep exhale of post-bedtime calm. You slip beneath the covers, the room now lightly marinated in the essence of renewed romance. You can't help but giggle. He laughs too, the moment both absurd and oddly endearing. After a day of chaos, coupons and casserole, this ritual feels like a soft landing, a shared joke wrapped in a cloud of nostalgia and questionable fragrance. You close your eyes and remember the old adage that couples who spritz together stay together. Maybe that's the real secret. Not the aftershave or the cold cream, but the effort to believe night after night that love can be conjured with a bottle, a wink, and a stubborn refusal to take any of it too seriously. As the scent finally begins to fade, replaced by the gentle hum of the fan and the promise of sleep, you reach for his hand and squeeze. Marital bliss, you decide, is less about aftershave and more about showing up, silly rituals and all. In a world that changes fast, some things, like love, laughter, and a goodnight kiss, are worth holding on to no matter how strong the cologne. You glance next door and spot your neighbour's brand new lawn flamingo, purchased from a TV ad. Suddenly you're questioning every purchase you've ever made, including your 7th set of matching napkins. There it is, pink and proud, standing guard among the petunias like a sentinel from a far more fashionable neighbourhood. It's whimsical, bold, and ever so slightly judgmental. You can practically hear it calling across the hedges. Have you truly arrived in suburbia if your grass is flamingo-free? You study your own front yard, a decent patch of green, a couple of garden gnomes, and a bird bath that's more decorative algae farm than avian spa. Somehow, it feels lacking. Your pulse quickens. What else are you missing? Inside, you do a quick inventory. The couch, purchased after a furniture commercial, declared it the last word in comfort. The toaster, with more settings than common sense. The curtains, fashioned in Paris, or at least in a factory that once had a French catalogue. You realise with a twinge that nearly everything you own came with a catchphrase, a promise, or a jingle that's now hardwired into your memory. Even your bath towels boast hotel luxury, and a tag that implores you to feel the difference. You peek through the window again. Mrs. Jones is out watering her marigolds, smiling with the quiet confidence of someone whose mail-order grill set arrived intact. You wonder if her roast chicken really is juicier, easier, and more fun for the whole family. Your mind races. Should you be grilling more? Should you invest in that automatic ice crusher? What about a new patio umbrella? Suddenly, all your carefully considered choices seem second-rate, outdated, and unforgivably ordinary. The advertisements know exactly how to stoke this gentle suburban panic. Every magazine, every commercial, every catalogue promises transformation. Not just for your home, but for your social standing, your sense of self, your ability to keep up with the breakneck pace of televised progress. A new blender isn't just for smoothies, it's for kitchen confidence. A vacuum upgrade isn't about dust, it's about dignity. Even the kids aren't immune, comparing lunchboxes and sneakers as if their futures depend on having the right cartoon character or the latest technology in zipper closures. The next time you're at the store, you find yourself lingering in the home goods aisle, mesmerised by a cornucopia of must-haves, colour-coordinated dish sets, a revolutionary mop, a planter shaped like a pineapple. You rationalise each item after all, everyone on the block is upgrading. Maybe the flamingo is just the beginning, a gateway to a more vibrant, fulfilled, neighbour-approved existence. You add a box of patio string lights to your cart, convinced it will bring ambiance, charm, and hopefully a quiet sense of superiority during backyard barbecues. At home, you rearrange the living room, fluff the statement pillows, and light a candle that claims to evoke coastal tranquility. For a fleeting moment, you almost believe it. The Joneses, meanwhile, unveil their newest addition, a solar-powered garden gnome that waves at passers-by. You smile, slightly envious, but mostly amused. After all, you know the secret. They're just as susceptible to the ad men as you are. In the end, you realise that keeping up with the Joneses is less about what you own, and more about the ritual itself. The quiet comparison, the hopeful purchase, the satisfaction of belonging, even if it's only for as long as the latest trend lasts. Tomorrow there will be a new ad, a new product, and another pink flamingo on someone else's lawn. And you'll be ready, checkbook in hand, humming a familiar jingle and wondering, just for a moment, if maybe, just maybe, a pineapple planter really is the missing piece in the puzzle of happiness. You slip into bed as a soft radio ad promises better sleep, whiter teeth, and an easier tomorrow. Outside, the glow of a neon sign seeps through the curtains, a final reminder that, in the 1950s, even dreams were for sale. The room is dark but not silent. There's the gentle hum of the bedside radio, low enough to soothe but just loud enough for the ad man to whisper his nightly gospel. Tonight, drift off with the calming comfort of Dreamy's mattress toppers, because restful sleep isn't just a wish, it's a guarantee. You turn over, tucking your chin into the crisp lemon-scented sheets. The pillow beneath your head boasts a new scientific shape, as seen on TV, and for a fleeting moment you try to convince yourself you really do feel more supported, more modern, more worthy of a magazine's 10 best beds list. Your spouse is already half asleep, snoring softly, one arm draped across a pile of extra firm pillows that were on sale last month, and, according to the tag, approved by a panel of sleep experts. The night air drifts in through the window, carrying the faint whiff of cut grass, and, less romantically, a hint of your neighbour's grill from an ambitious after-hours cookout. Across the street, the neon sign for the new pharmacy glows pink and blue, spelling out "Open Late," in a flickering promise that even at this hour you could purchase toothpaste, milk, or a glossy magazine filled with even more things to want. You close your eyes, but the day's ads replay in your mind like a greatest hits album. Laundry detergents banishing stains, vacuum cleaners sucking up chaos, cake mixes promising a party in every bite. There's even that new mouthwash commercial claiming its magic formula can give you confidence for a lifetime, or at least until breakfast. You smile to yourself, imagining an army of pitchmen marching through your dreams, peddling everything from tooth powder to instant pudding. It's a little ridiculous, and in its own way, oddly comforting. The radio shifts to soft music, then one last spot for a sleep aid. Wake refreshed, alert, and ready to seize the day. Ask your doctor if Sleepy Time Elixir is right for you. You sigh, wondering how many products you've sampled in the endless quest for perfect rest. Your medicine cabinet is a history lesson in hope and modern chemistry. Every bottle, tube, and tin a tiny, expensive lullaby. Still, as the house settles and the world outside dims, you feel the pull of sleep at last. The ads might be relentless, but so is your fatigue. Your thoughts drift. Did you remember to clip the new coupon for toothpaste? Should you switch to that ultra-bright bulb? Does anyone really need 6 pillows? The answers can wait for morning. Soon, you're floating in a sea of dreams, a gentle, humming blend of suburban contentment and manufactured optimism. You're walking through aisles of endless possibility, where every shelf is stocked, every product glitters, and everyone is smiling, shining, and effortlessly happy. Even in your sleep, you're only ever a step away from the next great solution, the latest innovation, the ultimate comfort. Outside, the neon glow continues its slow, steady blink, keeping watch over a neighborhood tucked in beneath blankets and brand loyalty. For now, the world is quiet. The jingle fades. The promise of an easier tomorrow floats through the night air and settles softly on your pillow. Good night, sweet commercial dreams. May your rest be peaceful, your sheets stay crisp, and your next purchase bring you, if not perfection, at least a coupon for something you didn't know you needed. You open the refrigerator door and are immediately blinded by a glowing white interior that feels less like an appliance and more like a scientific promise. This isn't just cold storage. This is a lifestyle achievement. Advertisements have assured you that a proper refrigerator keeps food fresher, marriages happier, and children morally upright. Inside, everything is wrapped, sealed, labelled, and quietly judging you. Leftovers must be stored correctly, or you've failed, not as a cook but as a woman. The fridge hums gently, like it's alive, and in a way it is. It's the beating heart of the modern home, humming with dairy products, gelatin moulds, and expectations. Standing before this chilly temple of modernity, you marvel at how a single appliance can inspire both awe and anxiety. The ad men promised revolutionary convenience, but nobody warned you about the pressure to keep your fridge as immaculate as the ones in magazines, where every lettuce leaf is crisp, every egg has its own compartment, and mystery containers are strictly forbidden. You once saw a photo spread of America's most organised refrigerator, and you've been living in quiet competition ever since. Every item is arranged with surgical precision. The milk stands at attention on the top shelf, flanked by a battalion of juice bottles. In the crisper drawer, carrots and celery parade in matching uniforms of wax paper and high hopes. Somewhere, a leftover casserole lounges beneath a tight layer of foil, awaiting Judgment Day. Every container is a silent referendum on your housekeeping skills. One false move, an unlabelled jar, a wilted salad, and it's all over. You half expect the refrigerator light to flicker out of disappointment. Of course, there are rules. Leftovers get 1, maybe 2 days before they're deemed a biohazard. Cold cuts and cheese are to be double wrapped, as decreed by a stern woman on Channel 4's Morning Kitchen Magic. Any signs of Tupperware with mismatched lids are a source of deep, private shame. You fantasize about a world where it's acceptable to toss everything and start fresh, but the refrigerator is a record of your week, triumphs, failures, and one regrettable experiment involving salmon loaf. The shelves themselves are a lesson in psychology. The display shelf, front and centre, holds the items you're most proud of. Fresh produce, a pitcher of homemade lemonade, and on special occasions, a Jell-O mould in full Technicolor glory. Behind these, less glorious relics hide in the shadows. Half a head of cabbage, 3 slices of bread too stale for sandwiches but not yet for birds, and a jar of something green that may have started life as relish. The kids see the fridge as an endless treasure chest, flinging the door open to survey the possibilities, usually letting half the cold air escape into the kitchen. Your spouse, for his part, has a sixth sense for leftovers expiring, sniffing out the one container you meant to use up tomorrow. Family drama often plays out in front of these frosty shelves, from negotiations over dessert to the silent standoff of who finished the orange juice. And then there's the cleaning. No matter how vigilant you are, some sticky catastrophe will occur in the night, leaving behind a ring of grape jelly or a suspicious puddle beneath the crisper. You've seen commercials where a smiling woman wipes up spills in a single swipe. Reality demands half an hour, 3 different sprays, and the ability to disassemble half the door shelves. Yet, for all its tyranny, the refrigerator is a source of pride, a glowing beacon of progress, and a constant humming companion through the rituals of daily life. When you close the door, you feel a pang of satisfaction. The food is safe, the home is modern, and tomorrow, with luck and the right commercial inspiration, you'll have the perfect answer when someone asks, "What's for dinner?" Even if it's just leftovers stored with all the hope and anxiety a modern fridge can hold. You glance under the sink and panic flickers. What if you're low on cleanser? Not just any cleanser, the one endorsed by a smiling woman in pearls who looks like she's never known hardship. Advertisements have trained you well. Running out isn't inconvenient, it's irresponsible. You imagine surprise guests discovering a smudged countertop or an unpolished faucet and silently judging your entire life trajectory. In the 1950s, preparedness isn't about emergencies. It's about having enough branded solutions within arm's reach to prove you care. Your heart skips a beat as you inventory the arsenal of bottles and boxes hidden below the kitchen sink. There's the lemon-scented all-purpose, the powder for tough stains, the blue liquid for glass, and at least 2 sprays designed solely for mystery spills. Each boasts a cartoon mascot, a cheery guarantee, or the face of a woman who looks like she's never scrubbed a thing in her life. You've spent months cultivating this collection, lured by the twin promises of effortless cleaning and subtle social superiority. But now, the bottle is nearly empty. The label, once so bold, is curling at the corners. The thought of running out leaves you breathless. What would people think? Not just the family, who barely notice the difference between fresh citrus and industrial pine, but the neighbours, the ones who can sense a subpar shine through sheer force of suburban telepathy. You imagine the scenario in horrifying detail. Mrs. Potter drops by, unannounced, to return a mixing bowl. She steps into your kitchen, her eagle eyes scanning every surface. There, just beside the sink, she spots it. A faint streak, a suspicious smudge. You see the judgment flicker in her gaze. What kind of woman lets her faucets go dull? It doesn't matter that you've conquered 3 loads of laundry, invented a new casserole, and prevented your children from eating crayons. Your worth is now measured in luster. It's not just about cleanliness. It's about having the right product, the one that's currently running in all the best commercials. If you're using the old formula, you may as well declare yourself obsolete. There are whispers at the PTA about Mrs. Hargrove, who still uses bar soap on her counters. Bar soap. As if we live in the dark ages, not the bright, shiny world of atomic convenience. The ads have made you a connoisseur of brands. You can list the virtues of Sparkle Made, Lemon Fresh, and Glimmer in your sleep. Each week there's a new must-have, a revolutionary formula, a patented foam that lifts away dirt with the power of science. You keep backup bottles tucked behind the flower and under the bathroom sink, just in case a cleaning emergency breaks out at 2 a.m. It never does, but it could. You start to ration what's left in the bottle, stretching it just enough to make it through one more day. Each squirt is a silent prayer for a well-timed sale or a generous coupon. Your family, oblivious to the existential stakes, tracks in mud and drops crumbs, undoing your work with the effortless grace of professional saboteurs. When the grocery trip finally arrives, you practically sprint to the cleaning aisle. You load your cart with replacements, 2 bottles just to be safe, and a new experimental scent, Arctic Breeze, for homes that dare to be different. You arrive home and stash your haul, feeling a rush of relief and accomplishment. Under your sink now gleams a rainbow of potential, every label facing forward like a parade of tiny, reassuring smiles. You know, deep down, that no one is keeping score but you. But in a world ruled by advertising and silent suburban rivalries, being prepared isn't just peace of mind, it's proof that you're keeping up. Just don't look too closely at the mop. That's next week's emergency. It's almost time for the kids to come home, which means assembling lunchboxes that are not only nutritious but emotionally supportive. The ads say a good lunch makes good children. A bad lunch, well, that explains everything. You carefully pack sandwiches cut diagonally, snacks wrapped in cheerful wax paper, and a juice box endorsed by cartoon animals with suspiciously strong dental health. Somewhere between the thermos and the napkin, you wonder when feeding your children became a performance graded by invisible executives in New York. Lunch used to be simple, a peanut butter sandwich, an apple, and maybe, if you were feeling generous, a cookie. Now, it's a logistical ballet, choreographed to the rhythm of 1,000 jingles. The pressure is relentless. You wake up in the night, heart pounding, half dreaming that a soggy carrot stick will determine your child's future job prospects. You flip through magazines for inspiration, discovering lunches shaped like zoo animals, vegetable medleys with personal backstories, and cookies frosted with enough pastel icing to sponsor a small birthday party. The assembly line begins. Bread, white, of course, enriched with essential vitamins for growing minds, is paired with cold cuts so thin they could double as tracing paper. Cheese slices are cut into hearts, stars, or whatever shape best communicates unconditional love and mild anxiety. You wrap everything with military precision in wax paper adorned with cartoon ducks. A note goes in too, because studies show that a positive lunchtime message leads to lifelong happiness, straight teeth, and acceptance to Ivy League schools. Today's reads, "You're a star." Tomorrow's might be, "Please eat the carrots. I beg you." Snacks are a high-stakes negotiation. The latest ad campaign claims that only the best mums pack fruity rockets, and you're not about to be caught short. You slip a pack into each box, glancing furtively at the expiration date and the list of ingredients, half of which are unpronounceable. There's a granola bar, all natural, unless you count the preservatives, and a carefully peeled orange tucked in for a hint of actual nutrition. The juice box is the final flourish. You select one featuring a grinning giraffe, confident that the vitamins added for extra smiles will counteract the sugar crash expected at precisely 2:34 p.m. The straw is inserted with surgical care. You double-check that the thermos is filled with milk, not yesterday's lukewarm tea, because last week's mishap still haunts you every time the phone rings. As you snap the lid shut, you take a moment to admire your work, a small masterpiece of maternal effort, ready to withstand the scrutiny of cafeteria gossips and lunchroom supervisors alike. You picture your child opening the box, sighing with relief, maybe even trading a carrot for a cookie, feeling, for a fleeting moment, that the world is a safe and delicious place. Of course, reality rarely matches the vision. Lunchboxes come home bearing the scars of battle, sandwich crusts abandoned, apple slices browned, a trail of granola bar crumbs leading nowhere. Your child reports, with the brutal honesty only kids possess, that Bobby's mum packs cookies with sprinkles and Sally gets pudding every day. You nod, muster your best smile, and vow to up your game, maybe something with sprinkles or a motivational haiku. Yet, deep down, you know the truth. The perfect lunchbox is a moving target, an impossible standard set by advertisers who never had to coax a toddler into eating celery. But that doesn't stop you from trying, from loving in the form of wax paper and sandwiches, from believing, just for a moment, that a really good lunch might make all the difference. You tuck the box into a backpack, give a quick kiss, and send your child out into the world, armed with the best you could muster. Tomorrow, you'll do it all again, sharpening your cookie cutters, practicing your sandwich origami, forever in pursuit of the elusive perfect lunch. Every house on the block has something new. Mrs. Harris just got an electric mixer. The Johnsons installed a dishwasher that sounds like a small aircraft. You don't need these things, but the ads say need has nothing to do with it. Progress waits for no woman. Each appliance promises freedom, yet somehow adds another chore. You stand in your kitchen, surrounded by cords, switches and dials, feeling less liberated and more like the manager of a very polite factory. The revolution started innocently enough. A new toaster here, a better blender there. Before long, the arms race was in full swing. Mrs. Harris, always an early adopter, unveiled her new electric mixer at the neighbourhood bake sale, producing a 3-layer cake so fluffy it seemed to defy the laws of physics, and certainly the laws of home economics. Not to be outdone, the Johnsons invited everyone over to marvel at their automatic dishwasher, a chrome-plated marvel that threatened to taxi down the driveway if you loaded it too full. The bar for modern living kept inching higher, one appliance at a time. The catalogues and commercials assure you that every device is essential. Your old whisk, loyal and dependable, is suddenly obsolete. A relic of the dark ages before whipping efficiency was measured in revolutions per minute. The fridge now hums in competition with a countertop frost-free icebox, and the once quiet kitchen is alive with the gentle whir of electric knives and can openers. Make life easier, the ads proclaim, as if convenience is a race and you're already lagging behind. Each new gadget arrives with a user manual thicker than your wedding album and an implicit challenge. Use me, or risk falling behind. The electric skillet gleams on the counter, daring you to invent recipes worthy of its 12 heat settings. The food processor, a labyrinth of blades and plastic cups, promises to save hours, but only if you first devote an entire afternoon to deciphering the assembly instructions and finding all the missing parts. Soon, your kitchen looks less like a space for nourishment and more like the cockpit of a modest lunar lander. There are buttons for blending, levers for slicing, toggles for broiling, and at least one switch that nobody, not even the manufacturer, can explain. You find yourself running drills, plug in the waffle iron, test the blender, time the coffee percolator to coincide with the rise of the electric bread warmer. Progress, it turns out, is powered by an endless supply of extension cords and hope. But for all their promises, appliances come with strings attached, literally and figuratively. The dishwasher may save you scrubbing time, but now you must rinse everything twice, stack plates like a game of Jenga, and pray that the soap doesn't turn your glasses cloudy. The mixer speeds up the batter, but the resulting mountain of bowls and whisks looms ever higher in the sink. Each convenience is offset by a new step, a new responsibility, a new fear that you're using the wrong setting and will inadvertently start a small fire. Neighbourhood gossip only fuels the frenzy. Word gets around that Mrs. Parker's new deep fryer has revolutionised her onion rings. Mr. Lee's space-age vacuum can suck the freckles off a Dalmatian. You smile politely at each testimonial, but inside you're already cataloguing what to buy next. After all, it's not really about need. It's about keeping up, staying modern, and having something to talk about at the next block party. At the end of the day, you step back and survey your domain, every surface gleaming with the promise of progress. You may not feel freer, but you are, undeniably, more plugged in. And as you flip the switch on the automatic potato peeler, you wonder, briefly, and not for the first time, if somewhere, somehow, there's an appliance that will finally do the dishes, fold the laundry, and let you sit down for 5 blessed minutes without guilt. But until that day comes, you'll march on, one gadget, one button, one shiny new promise at a time. As the house finally quiets, you lie in bed listening to distant television laughter and the low hum of modern convenience. Tomorrow's ads are already waiting, ready to tell you what's missing, what's lacking, and what could be better with just one more purchase. You drift off not to silence, but to possibility. In the 1950s, sleep isn't an escape. It's an intermission between commercial breaks where even your dreams are gently encouraged to upgrade. The room is cast in that bluish darkness unique to a neighbourhood filled with glowing televisions, humming refrigerators, and the comforting whir of a fan gently moving the night air. Your pillowcase is starched, your sheets are crisp, and you pull the blanket up with a small sigh of victory, the bed freshly made courtesy of this morning's commercial, urging the importance of starting every day the right way. Your spouse turns over, muttering something about new spark plugs, their thoughts already drifting into a dreamscape of gleaming cars and Sunday lawnmowers. You close your eyes, but your mind is still buzzing. Ads you didn't even know you'd heard replay in your head like a private jukebox. Dish soap jingle, vacuum cleaner slogan. You're not really living until you try. You imagine a parade of mascots marching by your bed, grinning bears for laundry powder, dapper penguins for refrigerators, a smiling housewife with impossibly shiny hair, all nodding in approval and subtle disappointment. Outside, the neighbourhood glows with possibility. A porch light flickers on as a neighbour remembers the ad about safety after sundown. Across the street, Mrs. Harris adjusts her new electric clock radio, determined not to miss tomorrow's super savings hour. Somewhere, a car door slams and you wonder, briefly, if the Joneses are finally getting that backyard grill you heard about in last night's commercial. Even in rest, there's a low-grade pressure to keep up. The radio, set to its lowest volume, hums a lullaby that's half music, half advertisement. Why settle for less when you can have the best, a gentle voice whispers as you teeter between waking and sleep. You picture yourself in a dream kitchen, every gadget sparkling, every surface spotless, your entire family beaming as they sip scientifically perfected orange juice. Somewhere in this vision, a coupon floats down from the ceiling like a golden ticket. Tomorrow's promises are already lining up just beyond the edge of sleep. There will be a new cleaning product, a slightly better bread, a gadget that changes everything for $4.99 plus shipping and handling. The future is always one purchase away, and you're only ever as content as your latest delivery. Even your dreams, you suspect, are sponsored in part by the folks at Appliance Mart. But here, in this moment, you let it all go. The house is quiet, your feet are finally up, and the only thing left to do is breathe. The buzz of modern convenience fades into a soft white noise, a lullaby for the slightly restless and the chronically hopeful. The world beyond your window ticks along, fueled by the promise that everything can be improved, updated, made newer, shinier, just a little bit better. You roll onto your side, smile into the dark, and allow yourself to drift off, not into silence, but into possibility. In the morning, there will be more ads, more jingles, more little reminders of what could be. But for now, you've done enough. The future can wait until after breakfast. So sleep, surrounded by the gentle hum of progress, and let your dreams be as ambitious, ridiculous, and occasionally miraculous as the world that's waiting for you tomorrow, coupon, commercial break and all. So now the house is finally quiet. The commercials have faded, the vacuum is resting, the linoleum has stopped judging you. You've survived a full day in the 1950s, one spent smiling through jingles, measuring self-worth in brand loyalty, and scrubbing surfaces that would somehow be dirty again by morning. You woke up believing the right soap could fix your life. You spent the day dodging salesmen, clipping coupons like tiny paper lifelines, and feeding a family whose happiness depended, allegedly, on the proper ratio of canned soup to fresh ambition. You learned that convenience never really meant less work, it just meant newer work, shinier work, louder work, work with better packaging. And yet, through all of it, people endured. They raised children, they built communities, they laughed at dinner tables and whispered frustrations into pillows once the lights went out. Behind every polished advertisement was a real person doing their best, navigating expectations that shifted faster than product labels, holding together households with equal parts resilience and exhaustion. So tonight, as you settle into your own bed, one without plastic covers, sponsored smiles, or an ad telling you how to sleep, take a moment to appreciate how far we've come. Be grateful for quiet kitchens, fewer jingles, and the freedom to buy nothing at all if you don't feel like it. Because history may be glossy and well lit, but it's also proof that people adapt, endure, and occasionally believe absolutely wild things if they're repeated often enough on television. So rest easy. The ads can wait until morning. You've already bought enough today.